Is my altcoin dead?
Is it dead?
Or will it recover?
Can you recover it?
Should I sell at a loss and just buy the top performers, or should I double down since prices are already at a discount?
And people buy, sell.
Will we even get an altcoin season, or should I just stick to Bitcoin? These are some of the most frequently asked questions in crypto these days, and the fact that people keep asking them suggests that nobody has gotten a clear answer, at least until now. Today we're going to figure out if your altcoin is truly dead, if it will ever recover, when this could happen, and why altcoin season could be closer than you think. My name is Nick, and you're watching The Coin Bureau. First things first, you need to know that nothing in this video is financial advice. It's just educational content to help you figure out if your favorite altcoins are dead or just asleep. And if you want to get more of this kind of content, then smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ping that notification bell. Now, the first step to figuring out if your altcoin will recover is to figure out where exactly we are in the crypto market cycle. As you all know, crypto has historically followed a 4-year cycle that consists of 1 to 2 years of a bull market and 2 to 3 years of a bear market, depending on your definitions of these terms. As most of you will know, the crypto market experiences its most explosive gains during the final year of the cycle. What you may not know, though, is that, historically speaking, altcoins see their biggest gains during the final 2 to 3 months of the 4-year cycle, specifically as Bitcoin is approaching its cycle top. And this is basically because Bitcoin hitting massive new highs brings more attention to crypto. Investors get spooked by Bitcoin's massive price tag and start speculating on smaller cryptos that come off as more affordable. What's, quote, different about this cycle is that there are many more crypto investors who are aware of the 4-year cycle as compared to the prior cycles, and most of these investors arrived during the 2021 cycle. The result was that when Bitcoin started rallying in early 2024 after the launch of the spot Bitcoin ETFs, many existing crypto investors started buying altcoins, with most of them expecting 2024 to be like 2020. Now, for context, altcoins started rallying at the end of 2020, and this rally lasted into early 2021. Then there was a second leg higher in late 2021, where most altcoins hit their all-time highs. And that's why most existing crypto investors bought altcoins in early 2024, expecting higher highs in late 2024 and early 2025. And these higher highs, well, they never came, and most existing crypto investors have been selling altcoins ever since. And this is arguably the primary reason why altcoins have been underperforming Bitcoin so much, and it's what feels so different about this cycle. In prior cycles, altcoins would be at much higher levels going into the final phase of the cycle. In this cycle, altcoins are at much lower levels due to the early buying and subsequent selling by existing investors. And this has created lots of confusion around crypto cycle timing. Thankfully, there's a very simple way to figure out where we are in this cycle, and that's to look at Bitcoin. Whereas altcoins are at much lower levels at this stage of the cycle compared to prior cycles, Bitcoin is exactly where it should be. It's been breaking out to higher highs, and most investors are starting to realize that this means Bitcoin's cycle top is ahead of us, rather than behind us, be it later this year or early next year. In case you forgot, altcoins have historically rallied the most in the final 2 to 3 months of the crypto market cycle, specifically as Bitcoin is approaching its cycle top. So, if Bitcoin's cycle top is still ahead of us, then this logically suggests that the altcoin season that everyone has been waiting for is also still ahead of us. When exactly this altcoin season will come is anyone's guess, but it should be within the next year or so. As much as it sucks that altcoins are so beaten down going into the final phase of the cycle, there is a silver lining. And that's that most existing crypto investors have already sold, as evidenced by the absolutely brutal price charts. The result is that they will become net buyers rather than net sellers as altcoin season approaches, so setting the stage for a truly explosive rally in altcoins. And if you are looking for a place to trade these altcoins, then you absolutely have to check out the Coin Bureau deals page. It's over here that you will get $100,000 in sign-up bonuses on the best crypto exchanges around. And not only that, but you'll also get 50% trading fee discounts as well as 75% cashbacks on deposits to these exchanges. Now, these deals, they won't be around for long, and they are only for viewers of the Coin Bureau. So make sure to take advantage of them ASAP by hitting the link down below or by scanning this QR code. Back to the video. So, to quickly recap, crypto follows a 4-year cycle, and altcoins rally the most during the final 2 to 3 months of this cycle, specifically as Bitcoin is approaching its cycle top in the 4th year. Bitcoin's cycle top is still ahead of us, so this means that altcoin season probably is too. And this brings us to the second step, and that's to figure out if the specific altcoins that you hold will ever recover. And there are a few ways to figure this out. The simplest way is to check if the crypto project is still active. Is the team still building? Is the community still engaged? Are there big upgrades or announcements that are coming up? If the answer to all of the above is yes, then your altcoin probably isn't dead, no matter how bad the price action looks. However, if the answer to the above questions is no, then your altcoin probably is dead, and
I'm sorry for your loss.
In all seriousness, if the only thing wrong with the project you're holding is its price, then there's a higher chance it will recover. However, this depends on whether the altcoin in question falls under a niche that's likely to get big and has a narrative that retail investors could understand and, most importantly, ape into. There's just one extremely important thing to note, though, and that's if your altcoin belongs to a niche or narrative that was already big in the last 1 to 2 years, then there's a lower chance that it will recover, even if the team is building, the community is engaged, and so on and so on. And that's just because the crypto market tends to rotate between niches and narratives only once. It's rare that they get a second wind. And this begs the question of which niches and narratives have already been big. And the answer can be found in this handy infographic from CoinGecko. As you can see, meme coins and AI were the primary focus during the altcoin rallies last year, with tokenized RWAs getting a bit of attention, but not that much. Layer 1s, Layer 2s, deepen cryptos, DeFi cryptos, and GameFi cryptos all still haven't had their turn in the spotlight. So, if you hold a quality Layer 1 that's been beaten down like Aptos, for example, or a quality Layer 2 that's been beaten down like Arbitrum, or a quality deepen crypto that's been beaten down like Helium, or a quality DeFi crypto that's been beaten down like Lido Finance, or a quality GameFi crypto that's been beaten down like Ronin, then there's a higher chance it will recover versus altcoins in the meme coin and AI niches. Note these, of course, are just examples. It's also extremely important to note that just because the meme coin and AI niches have already been big, doesn't mean that cryptos in these niches won't rally, especially if they belong to a narrative that could become popular. Take cat meme coins, for instance. This is a meme coin narrative that could properly emerge in the coming months, and the same is true for AI agents, which haven't shined bigly yet. Again, this doesn't mean that if you hold dog meme coins and AI infrastructure, they won't rally. Chances are that many of them will. It just means that the chances of them recovering is lower, and they're also likely to have less potential compared to other newer narratives in the same niches. Anyways, the key takeaways are that altcoins where the teams are still building, where the community is still engaged, which fall into niches that haven't become big yet, and which have narratives that are easy for retail investors to understand and ape into, have the highest chances of recovering. Make no mistake, these traits don't guarantee that an altcoin will recover, but do increase the likelihood that they will. And if you're wondering if the altcoin you hold falls into a narrative that retail investors could understand and ape into, just ask, is this an altcoin that my friends or family who know nothing about crypto would find appealing? Is it an altcoin that they could easily buy using a centralized exchange or a decentralized exchange on a low-cost blockchain like Solana or Base? If the answer is yes, you're on the right track. So, to quickly recap, the 4-year cycle suggests that Bitcoin's cycle top is still ahead of us, and that means that altcoin season is also still ahead of us. If nothing about the altcoin you hold has changed besides the price and it falls into a niche that could get big and has a narrative that's easy for retail investors to understand and ape into, then there's a high chance that your altcoin will recover compared to others. And this brings us to the third step, and that's to figure out exactly when the altcoin you hold could recover. I'll start by saying that this is fundamentally impossible to predict, as it depends largely on how exactly capital will rotate between niches and narratives in the coming months. It could start with tokenized RWAs and then go into DeFi, or start in DeFi and then go into GameFi, and then to tokenized RWAs, and so on and so on. That said, the whole concept of rotation seems to have its roots in two things. The assumption that the only way a crypto will pump is if another one is sold to buy it, and the assumption that the current cycle is like 2021. In the case of the former, most rotation these days occurs in the form of borrowing. Bitcoin whales will borrow stablecoins against their BTC to invest in other cryptos rather than selling their BTC. The same is true for ETH whales, XRP whales, Sol whales, and so on and so on. If it can be used as collateral for borrowing in CeFi or DeFi, then it probably is, and the resulting crypto-native liquidity is being injected back into the market. Case in point, we've seen exponential growth in DeFi and CeFi borrowing over the last year, literally billions of dollars, most of which has been going back into the crypto market. In the case of the latter, it's easy to forget that the 2021 cycle was, quote, different too. While many believe the thing that was different about 2021 was all the stimmy checks that were sent out, subsequent research from the Fed and others found that most of that money went towards paying down debts and retail products like makeup. Only a small fraction of that money found its way into crypto. And if you need proof of that, then look no further than the speculation we've seen in other areas of the market. Retail investors have reportedly been buying stock market dips at record amounts, and retail investors are speculating on things like penny stocks and options at levels that are exponentially larger than in 2021. And this is empirical proof that the absence of stimmies isn't the reason why altcoins haven't rallied. Anyhow, from our perspective, the main thing that was different about the 2021 cycle wasn't the stimmy checks. It was the fact that retail investors had extra time to pay attention to crypto due to being locked down for months at a time. And this is precisely why altcoin rallies lasted this long in 2020 and 2021, and why the rotation between niches and narratives was very clear-cut. People had time to learn about them. Given this fact, it means that the upcoming altcoin season is likely to look much more like 2017 than 2021, simply because the amount of time that people have to pay attention to crypto is back to normal relative to the 2021 cycle. In 2017, the rotation was less obvious. All altcoins essentially rallied at the same time. Notably, the altcoin season lasted for only around 3 months, and not 6+ months like in 2020 and 2021. In fact, you could go as far as to argue that the altcoin season could be even shorter just because attention spans are much shorter than in 2017. Now, before you ask, yes, a 2-month altcoin season would still be enough for many altcoins to recover and for a few to see exponential gains. Look no further than late last year for proof of that. XRP rallied by 6 times and Virtual rallied by 100 times in just 2 months. And of course, the fact that there were 2 legs for altcoins in the 2021 cycle is another part of why everyone assumes altcoins are dead, because they see early 2024 and late 2024 as the 2 legs, but let's not go there. Now, if we assume that everything we just discussed is correct, namely that the 2025 altcoin season is more likely to look like 2017 than 2021, meaning that most altcoins will rally at the same time, and the altcoin season will last for 2 to 3 months, then there's a very easy way to figure out exactly when your altcoin will recover. The Others chart, which measures the market cap of altcoins outside of the top 10. As you can see, Others has been chopping in a range for almost 2 years now, When others is at the bottom of the range, everyone says it's so over. And when it's at the top of the range, everyone says we're so back. Once the others breaks above the upper range, that's when we will see altcoin season begin, and we will start to see most quality altcoins breaking even, and many going above and beyond. So, to quickly recap, the 4-year cycle suggests that the altcoin season is still ahead of us. If the altcoin you hold falls into a niche that could get big and a narrative that's easy to understand and nothing has changed besides the price, then there's a high chance it will recover. If the 2025 altcoin season is more like 2017, which is likely, then your altcoin should recover when others breaks out above its 2-year range. And this leaves the fourth and final step, and that's to figure out if the altcoin you hold still has the potential to rally as much as it did when you first bought it. After all, you presumably bought the altcoin with the goal of making a big return, not breaking even. Luckily for you, there's a simple way to figure out if your altcoin has potential beyond break even. It's the same 5 criteria we've mentioned in many videos. First, does it have a narrative that investors could understand and ape into? I know it's like the 3rd time I've mentioned this, but it's worth repeating because the stronger the narrative is, the more that investors will buy when it's rallying, the more that investors will buy the dip when it falls, and the less they'll be inclined to sell when it's rallying because they clearly see how much potential it could have. Second, does it have a low price tag? As I noted at the start of the video, most crypto investors look at altcoins through a very basic lens, particularly new crypto investors. They implicitly assume that a low price tag means that the crypto can pump more, and many will set unrealistic targets that tempt them into investing more than they should because of this. It's unfortunate, but
that's the reality, Dan.
Fortunately, the 3rd criteria can protect you from making the same mistake, and that's a small market cap. Not sure who needs to hear it, but it's not the price tag that determines how much a crypto could pump, it's the market cap. A smaller market cap means it takes less capital to push its price up in percentage terms. And this can be a blessing and a curse, as it often results in lots of upside and downside volatility. And this ties into the 4th criteria, and that's most of the supply being in circulation. As we've explained in other videos, research suggests that token unlocks are rarely the primary reason for why an altcoin has underperformed. It's very much a case-by-case basis. Even so, the less selling pressure there is from insiders, the better. And no, it's not the end of the world if the crypto has a low float and a high FDV. The 5th and final criteria is accessibility, either through centralized exchanges or decentralized exchanges on fast, low-cost blockchains like Solana and Base. Your altcoin could objectively be the best of them all, but if it's difficult to buy, it doesn't matter how awesome your altcoin is. In the modern day, nobody has the time to figure out how to buy an altcoin on some obscure layer 1, so keep that in mind. In sum then, strong narrative, low price tag, small market cap, supply mostly in circulation, and accessible to investors. If the altcoin you hold checks all 5 boxes, then there's a high chance that it will do well during the upcoming altcoin season. Again, this doesn't guarantee that it will do well, it just increases the chances. At the end of the day, crypto is a game of chance. All you can do is play the odds. And if you want to learn exactly how you can increase your odds at finding the next 100x moonshot, then check out our video on that right over here. And if you're not subscribed to the channel yet, why not? You can do that right over here. This is Nick signing off. Thank you guys very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.